Yeah, guys, we're progressing. We're progressing. Progressive.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?
Matrix is a system, Neo. That system is our enemy. When you're inside, you look around, what do you see? Businessmen, teachers, lawyers, carpenters. The very minds of the people we are trying to save. But until we do, these people are still a part of that system, and that makes them our enemy.
We got sidetracked and diverted into these boxes that they call companies and corporations, and we got stuck into these containers they call cubicles or offices, and we got forced into this system. So our time, instead of it being invested in making pottery or fixing cars or doing something where you have a passion or you have some sort of a connection to, instead of that, you've sold your life to sit in a box and work for a machine.
Hey guys, Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's it going? Y'all good? So it's a wonderful day, July 21st, 2020. Nice summer day in San Antonio, Texas. We're doing our best to be as productive as possible. Yes. Oil change done. Got the computer repairs on the go.
On the go.
I got breakfast time headed my way. Okay. Some cannabis relaxation so I can deal with the stress that the social construct puts on the free-thinking mind.
After almost a month of occupation, an encampment outside City Hall by protesters calling for defunding the police is no more. The demonstrators may be gone, but the cleanup of the mess they left behind is still underway. Swarms of officers moved in overnight to clear it out. There are no reports of injuries, but 13 people were arrested. News 4's Mark Santee is live at City Hall with the new questions about why the city decided to end this occupation. Mark?
And Chuck, they've been working all day, but I want to give you a look right now. You can see cleanup crews are wrapping up here. Protesters were allowed to camp here for weeks, Chuck. Then, late last night, the mayor said he made the call. They had to go. Shoulder to shoulder, wearing helmets, carrying shields. The NYPD moved through City Hall Park. 13 people were arrested.
It was a complicated situation down here, and one we had to handle smartly.
After the clearing, the cleaning. Graffiti pulled, scraped, and power washed from the sidewalk. Steps, doors, rooftops, benches, statues, and signs around City Hall. Looming over this sudden Occupy removal, political drama. President Trump had threatened to send in federal officers. Mayor de Blasio lashed out at the notion today
That the presence of these federal officials, these federal officers, is not welcome here in New York City and is not needed here.
Late this afternoon, the president seemed to agree, announcing agents would go to Chicago, but he took a shot at New York.
In New York City, over 300 people were shot in the last month alone, a 277 at least % increase over the same period of a year ago.
Today's move at City Hall met with different reactions.
Every single emotion is awakened, and I'm just disgusted at the fact that they're willing to barricade this.
I'm for the protest because I feel like it's a part of our freedom of speech, but damaging our buildings, I'm not for that.
Some who support the causes of police reform and Black Lives Matter say they didn't support what was happening here at City Hall Park.
I believe in freedom of speech, and I think that Black Lives Matter, and it's important to state that now. But this was a homeless shelter for the last few days at least.
The mayor says discussion to remove the camp had been ongoing, and the final decision was made late last night. We're live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Mark Santia, News 4 New York. Mark, thank you.
Speaking of free thinking, a battle of facts and a battle of estimations. Which always involves the liberal charts, graphs, hindsight, committee. Fuck me over in the end. Pay no mind to the conventional wisdom and the social norms of the ABC News and the New York Times. The New York Times. The New York Times. Perfect storm, if you will, of circumstances. Lemony Snicket's Batman. So ABC is reporting that because of the tremendously mishandled way of the coronavirus pandemic, i.e. tearing up Obama's pandemic strategy guide, and also not really talking about the pandemic for fear of ruining the good, best, tremendous economy that we have. Unemployment is down. Of course, we all know March, the economy was, I guess, okay for the stocks, the banks, Wall Street, the military-industrial complex. Income inequality was growing. All the jobs that were added to the job market were shitty, non-pension, non-benefit, low-paying, non-living wage jobs. The reason why the elites want us to do those jobs is so they don't have to pay us money. They can use all of that extra money that they would to give us pensions and to give us benefits and to take care of our families. They would use that money to outsource to China, Malaysia, other countries without a minimum wage, and get Malaysian girls that are 12 years old to make their Apple computers. That's how they do. And then they don't pay federal income taxes on their businesses. They hide with loopholes the rest of their money, their gross profits, into the Cayman Islands and Swiss bank accounts. Defy the tax laws of the United States, our country. So not patriotic, and also a problem. And just the first part of the unraveling of the fake free market. But meanwhile, have ABC News, like I said, saying that Trump was going to lose. Most of the runoff elections in Texas pretty much point to a Trump victory, despite the charts and graphs government committee in hindsight. I mean, it doesn't matter to me either way, because either way, Sheldon Adelson, we have George Soros, and we have the Rothschild family, which is shadow government. They influence our politics with the centralized banking system. They pick the cabinets of the presidents of the United States, and also they pick the Supreme Court justices nominees. So all of you guys who think that Joe Biden's going to pick the Supreme Court justice nominee, it's not going to be Joe Biden. He's going to have a list of approvable Supreme Court justices that were handed down by Adelson or Soros or Rothschild or whoever, Huffington, Murdoch, Buffett, has bought Joe Biden, which there are a lot of people. There's like a bidding going on with Joe Biden. He could win. And he'll be asleep the whole time. Well, they'll be picking everything. Joe Biden will be waking up for one moment and highlighting a name. So that's how our government works. I know that Nick Cannon got in trouble for talking about the shadow government, the Jews in particular that run the shadow government.
We talk about who we really are as guys and understanding that our melanin is so powerful, and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what, Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about, is that fear in that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear, they're acting out of low self-esteem, they're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. Because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages. And then they built up such this I don't want to say warrior, but they built up such this conquering barbaric mentality that they're coming out of Europe. They then said, in order for us to survive, we have to take what's not ours. And then they went into the land that actually where we are originated. And instead of trying to make friends, they said, we want what you got. Because there's this mentality of whether it's the Caesars or even that we have to conquer.
Right.
So I say all that to say the context. And when we speak of whether it's Jewish people, white people, Europeans, the Illuminati, they were doing that as survival tactics to stay on this planet.
Right, because
they never had to do that.
Right, because they've learned when they circumnavigated the globe, when they ran into these islands and these places, and we were already there to greet them.
Right. With open arms.
With open arms, teaching them, but they
were deficient.
They were deficient, so they wanted to get what they thought we had, and we did have it. So the rape took place of the woman. The theft took place of the natural resources.
And then that's when their disease, that's where their mentality, because I'm trying to get to that place of how they were able to get control over the gods. How they were able to get control over their
once they learned that, though, and now they raped and impregnated, left and came back, and they saw the child lighter, they said, wow, that's when they learned genetics. Genetic annihilation. So now you have to set up a system of white supremacy to control that.
Right.
So now we have 13 families here, Illuminati that's manipulating and controlling. Subgroups. Now we got to set up organizations.
Coming out of Europe.
You understand what I'm saying? And for that same system, now you're talking about survival, what you just laid out. Now it's fight or flight. Now we have to set up these systems in order to survive.
Right.
But listen, not just survive to get some damn some hamburger buns and some cheese. I'm talking about on a genetic level.
Because they will, and that's even from the white nationalists to the white supremacy mentalities to Donald Trump himself wanting to build walls.
Right.
They're trying to keep what they consider pure.
I saw The View talk about anti-Semitism, and it is true that the Jews have been scapegoats of absolutely outrageous accusation, and Jews generalized have nothing to do with the shadow government. Only these Jews in particular, the Jews I named. I know that the mainstream media and the establishment, they get really scared when you name the names or when you even reference the shadow government. They are hands down bought by the shadow government.
CBS just fired Nick Cannon over anti-Semitic remarks he made on his podcast, and just before the show, he released his own statement. demanding an apology from them for bullying and asking for ownership of his MTV show Wild 'N Out. This comes on the heels of NFL star Deshaun Jackson. I feel people's actual ignorance about history. I don't feel like you can run around and say, respect me if I'm not respecting you. Don't know history. Don't say anything until you figure it out.
I don't know what his contract looks like, but certainly I'm always surprised when you hear, especially someone that's African American, spout anti-Semitism, because there is such a long history, and Whoopi, you know this, of well, we all know this, of you know, Jewish people in the civil rights movement being such allies to African Americans, and the notion that anyone that's African American has that blind spot when it comes to the allyship with Jews is kind of shocking to me. I've never had that blind spot, and maybe it's because my mother's father is Jewish. I don't know.
Look, I'm not a big cancel culture person. We've been talking about this, which feels like months, but I will say what's interesting to me, and I actually retweeted a tweet from the actor Josh Malina a few days ago where he said, why can you be canceled for anything except anti-Semitism? We've been talking about this on the show for years now, but anti-Semitism is on the rise in this country. Per the New York City Police, in 2019, hate crimes are up 26%, despite the fact that crime overall in the city was down low. According to the IJC, 84% of Jews surveyed think that anti-Semitism is on the rise in the past 5 years. And I would just like to see more culpability for anti-Semitism in general. Seems to be the rail that you can keep touching, and there's not a lot of culpability.
Well, you know, people need to start reading their history. They really do. I mean, at this point in time, the 20th century, Nazis killed 6 million Jews for no reason other than that they were Jewish, as I said before. Look who the enemy is, Nick. Look who the enemy is. It is not your Jewish brother, okay? Get smart, get some education, read up on it. Otherwise, shut up.
Adelson, he runs casinos in Vegas. He literally destroyed the Native American casinos and rebuilt Vegas in his image. Soros, he is behind all kinds of protests and left-wing, if you call it that. I mean, it's all right-wing to me, but left-wing fake protests and riots. The right-wing government of Israel, they train our cops, which is why, you know, they kill us. You know, they shoot Palestinians on a daily basis in Gaza, and then they come over here, they train our cops, and we die here. It's not the Jews, it's the right-wing government of Israel, it's Soros, it's Adelson, it's Rothschild. Just to be specific when it comes to Nick Cannon. You should have said the Jews. That sounds bad, and it is, because it's wrong. So you should probably be more educated about that, Nick, and be a little bit more careful because you're black and you can't get away with stuff that Howard Stern does. Okay?
So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
You have a whole other fucking set of rules for black people. You got to make sure that you stand for the flag at all times. Because if not, then you're ungrateful and you're a nigger. Well, glad we got that out of the way. And like I said, I don't care who wins the election. It'll be the shadow government running our country. And everybody seems fine with it. You know what's funny, guys? I was thinking about this the other day. So the social construct that we have where we go to work and then we call that contributing to society, right? Contributing to society. So we go to work, we go home, we eat a meal, we barely see our kids, take them to school, don't have any relationships or communications, no bonding, no family times, no vacation times, no sick leave. And we do it all again every day, day after day after day. And people say that if you work hard enough, you're gonna achieve the American dream or something. That's what conservatives say. It's a lie. The reason they want you to keep doing it is they want you to make their labor, the elites, and they will do anything it takes to keep you inside of the mainstream social norms and conventional wisdom. They'll call it contributing to society. Actually is neglecting your children and sacrificing your dreams. They'll make sure they paint a picture of a hardworking, renegade American man who's living under the poverty line with no health care and voting for these two parties. That's the sick kind of poetic justice that this country transcribes. I hope everybody's okay with that because that's part of the society. And every time I bring stuff up like this, they all have the same thing. Well, that's how it is. That's how it's always been. Well, who made it that way? Did I make it that way? I didn't. Have you ever stopped to think about who is making the rules, you didn't, did you? You just follow them, because that means you're a good citizen. I understand. Well, Britain. Well met. So, covered a lot of thoughts today. Sorry about that. But I will have to say this, guys. CARES Act expires at the end of the month, and unemployment enhanced is going away. A lot of coronavirus relief is going away. Whereas the Congress, they're at recess. They don't give a shit. Never did, never have. So, they hope you're wearing your masks correctly, and Nancy Pelosi is eating ice cream in San Francisco, waving and tearing up some speeches, and you and your family have a future that is uncertain. I want to comment on this whole deplorable line that Hillary started. At first in 2016, when she called half the Republican Party deplorables, I kind of was like, maybe they are, you know, because a lot of Republicans are racist or xenophobic or, you know, sexist and misogynist, and they're just not good people. They live with simplistic mentalities, and they act out their bias just like hardcore, heavy-footed way because they're not intelligent enough to hide their hatred. It's apparent in their eyes. But also, guys, you can't generalize, period. Lots of Republicans that are friends, they're not racists. They just believe in this free market for some reason, even though it's buffered by government money. And also, they don't want to pay taxes, and they're good people. Best things about Tommy Nation Politics is I get to talk to all kinds of people because I have ads out and people respond. Republicans, Democrats, because of course, they're both mad at me. That's me. And I get to meet people. I met this guy named Carl Myers. He's a 60-year-old veteran. He's got pancreatic cancer. He's dying. And he wanted to tell me that the police are not dogs. And I should really stop that kind of attitude. And I should be more respectful and grateful, okay? Which is good advice. Good advice, Carl. But then he said that I was a Democrat and that I was, you know, not looking through the lens of, you know, whatever. I had to tell him that I'm not a Democrat. I just know that these two parties are in cahoots. They're funneling money to international corporations, and they're getting campaign finance contributions off of these businesses. And it's a circle. It's a never-ending circle. Then when they leave office, they go into the private sector, like Barack Obama did, do speeches for Wall Street, collect untold amounts of money. It's a game that they play. It's clear, it's transparent, it's what they do. Carl, he actually agreed with me. He said, you know, well, what are we going to do about it? That's the way it's been. That's the way it's always been. Well, it doesn't have to be that way. We can get money out of politics together. In fact, that's how we revolted from Britain. We all got together, all the colonies. We had a convention, and we wrote some stuff, and we all signed it. On went the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and so on and so forth. Americans, we don't tolerate authoritarianism. We don't tolerate people trip-trapping, treading on our freedoms. We throw tea into a fucking harbor if they tax us unjustly. And we also, if the British want to come in to our houses and just take over our houses, we burn the houses down. That's the way America is. So this bootlicking, authoritarian, I'm a good citizen mentality that you guys have, it's un-American. Some of these people are deplorable, okay? They just grew up knowing something, thinking something, and it's hard when you're old to change, okay? It's like you can't get out of the game. So he admitted that that's all true. What are you gonna do about it? Well, what I can do about it is I can do what I'm doing, and that's what I'll be doing. You can bet your bottom dollar that I'll be doing Tommy Nation Politics. Don't think that anything is insurmountable. Don't think things are the way they are because they have to be. You can change things to your will. All you need is a strong will, a strong character, and a goddamn mighty fine face. Tommy Nation Politics. Carl, I hope that you feel good. Don't give a fuck about what these guys say. Smoke some fucking pot. That always helps with pain and anxiety. And I'm sorry that you don't have health care and you're still voting Republican and they're literally kicking people off health care. I don't understand the disconnect, but I know that it's what you know and it's what you've always known, and that's the way things are. I'm learning from you and I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to change right now. That's the way life should be. Evolution. Charles. I'm trying to be Magneto or Dr. X. Tommy Nation Politics.
Hey guys, this is Tommy with Tommy Nation Politics. How's everyone doing today?